After my parents got divorced, my stepdad basically moved right in and started abusing me. I knew it was wrong deep down somewhere, but figured since he was an adult, he knew what he was doing and to trust him. One night my sister caught him red-handed and flipped out and told my mom. Cops came and he got arrested. I was only like 9 to 10 years old, so a lot of it is a blur. At first, my mom had me sleeping in bed with her at night and was babying me, and I loved it. One day, months later, we were walking home from school and we saw me dad's van sitting outside of our house. We weren't allowed in and we saw garbage bags sitting outside. My dad told us that my mom had called him earlier in the week and told him that if he didn't come and get us, she'd get rid of us. She wouldn't come out and talk to us, and I cried. My dad lived in another state, so this meant we'd have to leave our friends and our hometown. Our friends ran after the van as we drove away. For a few years, she wouldn't talk to us because she had allowed my stepdad to come back, and that's why she stayed away. Guess she didn't want to face us after what she'd done. She'd chosen a man who'd abused her child over her own children. Eventually, we had a relationship with her again, but she was so sick. The funny thing is that she's in a really high-up position for one of the largest banks in America. Professionally, people think she's amazing. She's a monster. I finally had the courage to cut her out when I went into recovery from heroin addiction 11 years ago and haven't spoken to her since. A few people know this story, but not many, and it felt good to get it out to the world. My life has flourished since cutting her off. People always say how I need my mom. Lowell, don't be scared to boot family out of your life, just be their family. Thanks for allowing me to share this, Reddit. When my grandpa was on his deathbed, he admitted to killing fellow Marines in the Vietnam War for torturing and raping young girls. Most of our family doesn't know. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to blow up. Lol, thank you for all the awards. My grandpa was a pretty cool guy, very calm and mellow. So my mom and I were shocked when he admitted this to us. He was a gunsmith his whole life and was very proud of being a Marine, but the guilt he carried from the war made him believe he was being punished in the end. He died a really painful and traumatic death that I would never wish on anybody. I hope it lets him rest easier in peace that the majority of you commend what he did. I certainly never held any qualms about it. I'm living with my mom right now, cause she's going there cancer, but to be honest, I can't wait to see her go. It sounds horrible, but I'd rather see her go than see her suffer even more. It's not like I would get anything out of her will. It's more like it sucks cause she's always in pain, and seeing her like that brings me pain. Edit. Thank you everyone for your responses. I've felt so alone on this for a long time. She's still fighting a long battle, but it's just getting worse every day. I appreciate the help that everyone has offered. It really helps a lot. Thank you. I've been accessory to both my parents' infidelity. At age 5, my mother cheated on my dad while he was deployed, and my brother told me what was happening and that I shouldn't tell anyone. My father slept with his secretary 2 years later for a few years, and would even bring me on dates with her, telling my mother we were going to the movies. He took me to her house and had her roommate watch me while they went out or just hung out in her room. They're still married. I don't know if either know the other did the thing or if they still are doing the thing. Edit. To everyone saying maybe they're in an open or poly relationship. Sure, maybe they are, but I doubt it considering their views on most everything. Also, if they were in one, then they should have explained it to us instead of sneaking around and telling us not to tell the other parent, and maybe don't bring your kid on your house dates. So yeah, maybe they were, but if they were then emo, their behavior goes from involving their kids in their infidelity to that they involved their kids in a lifestyle without explaining it to them and making their kids think that they were cheating on each other. 2 days before my dad took his life, he called me telling me what he wanted to do. He had been calling me and telling me how depressed he was for months, and I was sick of hearing it. And I hung up on him. I hung up on my suicidal father. He then killed himself on my 17th birthday. Everybody in the family thinks it was coincidence that he took his life on my birthday, but I know the real reason. I've never told a single member of my family, as I know they would blame me, especially my brother. Ever since he took his life, I have this recurring nightmare of seeing my dad in a grocery store passing at the other end of the aisle. He's pushing an empty shopping cart and briefly looks at me at the other end of the aisle, but keeps going. When I run to where he was, he's now at the other end aisle. Rinse and repeat until wake up screaming. Some secrets will haunt you until you die. Everyone in my family is nagging me with the fact that I don't want to date girls anymore and think that I'm strange or gay. But I lost my girlfriend, which I assume I could have a good life with her. She committed suicide, and I never talk about that with them. I know I can speak with some members of my family, but my parents are different. Edit. Thank you so much, guys, for your kindness, but I don't want to discuss that at the moment with someone. It will bring back some memories that will make me more depressed than before. When I was younger, I lived with my grandmother. Not long after I turned 18, her health started to decline. That sort of decline that means she won't be around for much longer. Over the months, I did my best to take care of her, getting her to the hospital when she needed and other things. We had someone coming every day to help her with things I couldn't. Well, what my family doesn't know is that the night she passed, I was in the living room watching TV. My dog was in bed with my grandma, and I started to hear him whimper and bark. I knew what was happening. I knew that if I acted, I could potentially save her. I didn't want to watch her suffer anymore, though, to watch her live with so much pain and unable to do anything for herself anymore. So I made the choice to let her pass before making any calls. She lived 92 years, and the only regret I have is that she passed a month after I would have graduated if I hadn't been kicked out of school. She had been in good enough health at the time to go to my graduation. I still kick myself for how stupid I was back then. Edit. I didn't expect this much support. Thanks. I'm not too torn up about letting her pass. I knew it was for the best. She was such a great person. She didn't deserve to live in such a poor manner any longer than she already had. I don't regret what I did. I regret what I had done that got me kicked out of school, that I didn't try and make it to graduation for her. I think I've lived my life so far in a way that she'd be proud of. Not graduating before she passed is the only regret I really have in this life so far, and I'm 35 now, so I think I'm doing pretty good. Cutting off my dad was the best decision I've made. I hope it kills him inside every day to not know how his only child and only grandchild are doing. I tried for years to have a relationship with him since age 10 until 18. From 10 to 13, he would tell me he wished I would have died when I was sick as a school kid because I wouldn't have tattled and ruined his marriage to my mom. I tried multiple times but was unsuccessful. I still tried to have a relationship with him for my mom, to help her financially, and would visit him for months. He'd keep me locked in a closet for hours at age 14. From 16 to 18, he thought throwing money around would help me, but I was already working by then, and it didn't matter. I still have my daily battle where I ask myself if he's right or not, but I see my kid, and I can't imagine thinking such vile things about them at that age like my dad did about me. Edit. I ended up telling my teacher my dad would beat me and my mom one day when the bruising hurt too much to sit down in class. He said I ruined his life and wished I died when I was hospitalized as a kid due to being poisoned. I tried to take my own life multiple times from the age of 10 to 13 too, but was never successful.